Welcome to Dice Tower News, where we have a lot to go over today because it's been 3 weeks worth. Gen Con was in the middle there, so a lot of stuff has been announced. So,
let's do it.
So first of all, we have Between Two Councils of Mad King. Wait, who wrote that Who wrote that tagline? Sorry, it's a Game of Thrones.
I like it. Between Two Councils of Mad King Targaryen is a funny bit.
Right. Anyway, this is a 3 to 6 player game that Fantasy Flight Games announced. By the way, they did not announce this in their in-flight report, which is odd. Yeah. This is something they could have announced there. What, they did?
They didn't announce it, but they talked about it.
Oh, they talked about it there, but it was already announced, I guess. Anyway, it's called Betwixt.
A Game of Thrones, Betwixt.
Do they use this? Do they use that word a lot in the Game of Thrones?
I doubt it. I don't think so. Not that I remember.
Anyway, you're bidding on influence and allies cards. It's coming out in retail later this year. It actually doesn't look as bad as the title thought made me think it would be. I like the art in the front.
I do too. I like that it is art and it looks neat.
I'm a big fan of art, that looks like the movie, not the TV actors. And that board looks good. This game looks good.
It does look good. I agree.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
I don't know what kind of, again, I think it's a bluffing or social deduction kind of game, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And I also cannot tell if this is based on something. I don't think so, but...
When people look back to this time frame in 10 years and they ask me about it, and they'll say, what did you notice about 2021 and all that? I'll say, well, there was a lot of brand confusion. And that's where we're at with our next one, Seven Wonders Architects, which is not an expansion for Seven Wonders. It is a brand new game, a streamlined reimplementation of Seven Wonders, sort of. It's family friendly, like the original one wasn't that.
I think it's just lighter.
Yeah, but... I don't know. It's going to be confusing. This is going to be confusing.
I agree because all the expansions for Seven Wonders, and there have been many, follow the same naming structure. Seven Wonders Cities is not a standalone game. Seven Wonders
Leaders,
Armada is
Seven Wonders Armada,
and then Seven Wonders Architects. Oh, that's a different game. What?
Yeah, it's a little weird. I almost wonder if they should have just called it Seven Wonders Family. Then I would have known that's what it was.
Like Seven Wonders Family Edition?
Yeah, or something.
That's a terrible name too, but I would have called it Architects, a Seven Wonders game.
Now, don't get me wrong.
Architects is not a great title.
I'm interested in this. If there's a lighter version of Seven Wonders, I'm cool. I don't know. It seems like a lot of companies, and this seems to be another trend, they have a hit, and they're like, let's milk it in every direction we can. We'll make a lighter version, a heavier version, a new version of,
I would have expected for there to be a Seven Wonders dice game before this. I will say that. There is no Seven Wonders the dice game.
That's true. I wonder why.
But they went with another
roll some
card
dice and then
drafting.
draft them. Ooh. Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Call me. Just so you can pay me. I'm not designing or anything. Just, pay me, basically. That's what I mean.
A lot of big news today, but we also are talking about Z-Man is partnering with geocaching for a promotional campaign for the new board game release, World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King, which we just played live on the channel yesterday and we'll be doing later. That's neat. And I shouldn't even really make fun of geocaching because I get this. I've never actually done it. I keep meaning to do it at some point. Except you actually have to go outside, and I don't really like doing that.
Geocaching's a neat idea. I've never done it either. I've known people who are into it, and so I'm aware of kind of how it goes and what people like about it. I would try it. I think I would do it. I think it's a fun idea.
I do think it's not going to work that well. And I'll tell you why. Because they created 4,200 trackable things. And this is one of those things that BGG did in the past where you go online and see where it went, next place and next place. And then you go hide these in these caches and people go find them. Fine. I get when I'm like, this is valuable. Or at least collectible. It's staying in my collection. 2,000 of the original 4,200 aren't going to move. The next, you know what I mean? They're going to thin out really fast.
That's an interesting thing, yeah. But it's trackable, right?
but I think they're only trackable if you input where you're at.
Oh, okay.
Right, I go pick it up. I'm not going to scan it. Otherwise, it'd be like, well, Mr. Zee Garcia, please.
Go bury it somewhere. Jerk, stop hoarding it. You might be right. People might keep these just for the sake of keeping them. But if you're into geocaching and you get that it's about that fun and passing it along, hopefully folks will treat this correctly. We should do it.
I'm kidding that I don't not go outside. Mostly.
We're going to do one of these. We should do it. Road trip.
Road trip. we drive to it's 100 feet that way. Can the car get there? No?
We're done. Let's go.
We failed. All right, so game trays are in a lot of games these days, but now they're starting their own company. So Game Trays is expanding from the storage solution to creating board games called Game Trays Lab. The first game here is Forsaken. This is coming to Kickstarter in 2022 and will fulfill in 2023. I say that because who knows when things are going to fulfill at this point in time. There's a planet. It's been stripped of all its resources, its lawlessness. I've been told this is a sandbox-style game by the designer Travis Chance and Michael Michielsic, who
I think so.
We just played one of his games.
We did. That White Elephant game is a small little card game. Michielsic's design
has some pretty cool art. I actually like the art in the box.
I think it looks great. It really reminds me of that one Vengeance game. It has a very similar cover.
That's what I knew. I knew it looked familiar. I wonder if it will have game trays in it. That'd be really ironic if it didn't.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah. Everything just comes in baggies. It's weird that, it's neat that these companies are choosing to do it, but this is now the second one that has a funny title after BoardGameTables.com is a board game producer, and they make tables, of course. Game Trays Lab now makes games,
I am surprised that they didn't just come up with another name
and own them.
Owned by Game Trays. That's what I would have recommended. But not to mention, it's kind of weird because here I am. I might be a rival company making a similar game to you. Will you also make Game Trays for me? I don't know. We'll see. All right. If you're having trouble falling asleep at night and you would like to fall asleep, you can dig up the stream that Fantasy Flight did for their in-flight report, play it. No, I'm not even apologizing for that because Z was there back in the day when we sat through Christian Peterson's riveting reports. In-flight reports. They were exciting to go to because they would say, here's a new game, here's a new game, here's a new game, and this game is here tomorrow. They would like you would go to the booth at Friday and they would have like a big sign that was covered and they would rip it off and be like, look what's here. Like, it was only 3 years ago we went, Twilight Imperium 4 was at the show.
Out of nowhere, right?
Right. So, anyhow, so at the in-flight report, they announced several things, like we're doing more expansions and expansions and expansions. That's literally all they announced. And almost everything they announced has already been talked about. The only new thing was they're doing an expansion for Outer Rim.
Which I'm excited about, to be fair.
But it is also not The Mandalorian, which I know disappointed a lot of people.
Oh, I don't care. I was not...
Don't even say you don't like The Mandalorian. I will flip this.
I do like The Mandalorian, but I wasn't
table.
expecting it to be The Mandalorian. I'm good with just more content. That game needs more content, right? Like most FFG games that have an epic scale and a bunch of little decks of cards, you know each of those little decks of cards has 8 cards in it. Are you insane? You need more. You'll see them all in 2 games. So I'm glad that they're still putting something out.
I'm glad that it's there. I just thought it was kind of, well, first of all, it's a pretty long delay from when the game was released.
Oh, yes, big time.
It's also called Outer Rim Unfinished Business, which is a real on-the-nose name.
What do you mean?
They're like, to the fans, they're like, is this the last thing? Online, there's a lot of chatter about that.
Okay. You said the expansion is not finished.
I don't know.
That's what you're saying. It'll come out and be incomplete.
Who knows? They also talked about pillows and mugs in case...
That was weird.
The whole thing was weird.
Like, we're going to partner with a company who's going to slap our brands onto trash, basically. Like knickknacks you can buy a mug or an eraser or something. It's like, really? You're taking time out of your in-flight report to tell us that you have an Etsy store?
Yeah, it's weird.
That
weird.
seems strange to me. I'll agree with that one. But the other stuff is fine. No surprises except for an Outer Rim expansion.
But even that's not a big surprise. It's kind of like, well, yes, we're expecting this expansion.
Yeah.
Meh, I say. All right. In a surprise that no one was asking for, WizKids is redoing Fantasy Realms into a Star Trek version. This is not the first time they've done such a thing. They took that game, Fantasy Business, and made us, what's that race in Star Trek that's always trading stuff with the big ears? Anyway, they made a version of that game. Remember Fantasy, the old blue box game.
Fantasy Business.
Business. They remade it with a Star Trek theme.
I did not know they did that.
Yeah.
I don't know that one. I don't remember that.
I like it, but it's the exact same thing.
Okay.
And so this is the same type of thing here, where there's Star Trek being put on top of Fantasy Realms.
I agree with someone in the comments saying, what's up with this art?
Ferengi, yes.
This artwork is terrible. It's like just clearly a screen cap, and they threw some filters on top of that. This is like, you know.
I don't know though that this is an exact replica. It looks like it's a sideways version of it. In fact, you know what it looks like? It looks like they took Stegmaier's Red Rising.
And then went.
This is Star Trek Rising.
Took it back, yeah. Fantasy Realms is a fantastic game, which, as April is saying, but
and it got nominated for the Kennerspiel, remember? So it's kind of like a hey.
Yeah, sure.
Star Trek.
Maybe. It looks terrible to me, but I'll stick with the other one, I guess.
Now here's something that does not look terrible. From Yellow, we have Get On Board. This is a remake of Let's Make a Bus Route. And we had some debate here in the studio. Some people like that Let's Make a Bus Route art. I don't at all. It looks like a kid's coloring book. I really like this Get On the Board. It's clearly a 1950s vibe. It looks like a board game that came out then, although cleaner and nicer. But it definitely, that Get On Board looks like, at the bottom it should be like starring Dick Van Dyke.
100%.
You know it?
Right.
And I don't know. I just really love this.
I really like that look. Yeah. It's very stylized. It's attractive. I like the shot we got of the back of the box there. Shows you the board and the player pads. All of that looks good. And then they're adding an extra board. The original game was a single board that the players share and then will draw with a dry erase marker on. And now they have two, a New York board and a London board. How different they'll be, I'm not sure. But this game is fantastic.
I've not played it. I guess I should get around to playing it.
This is a great flip and right style game in which all the players are working on the same board and you start running into each other, which is bad, okay? You create traffic and that hurts you negatively. This new one, I'm just happy exists or will exist just so more people can play it.
Q1 of next year.
Fantastic.
All right, if you get rid of a boom, you're left with 2 rooms. This has nothing to do with 2 rooms and a boom. Although
if you get rid of a boom, I figured you were going to say we had a game called Bust.
No, this is a cooperative card game for 2 players in which a group of humans has entered the House of Mist and must escape the vampires within.
Oh, no.
So basically, I was reading about this. One of the players, you have 2 halves of a game box. One is a red door and a green door. There's 15 cards. You draw a card and you put it there. But one of the players is switching rooms and the other person has to keep their eyes closed. So it looks like you're trying to avoid vampires working together.
But you are working together.
It says cooperative game, so yeah.
Sounds like a high concept micro game.
I like that cover a lot.
I do like the cover. It's
I just
freaky.
think, again, there's going to be some confusion with 2 rooms and a boom. But 2 room, I mean, I guess not that confusing, but
this is neat. Yeah, I don't know. It's from an Italian publisher called Fever Games. I don't think I know them.
Oh, I just realized. Someone said, look behind you. I just realized there's claws in that door there.
Yeah, and an eye. Yeah.
Ah!
It's terrifying.
You're going to die!
It's a very
Don't go through that door! All right.
Yeah, it's a scary cover. I'm curious. It sounds strange. I'll check it out.
The next cover here is strange. The Three Little Wolves. This is from Oni Games and Renegade Game Studios.
It's republishing, right?
It's a redone version of the game, which originally came from Poke Design from Taiwan. A 2 to 4 player game. You're playing cards in front of you, trying. At some point, the tallest house wins. It looks like it's a Three Little Pigs rip, like a sequel.
It sort of takes the theme and turns it on its head, I think. The Three Little Wolves now are building sort of skyscrapers or at least tall structures. I hate the look. I really do. The artwork.
I'm not really loving it either.
Really don't like it. The game, if it's, again, sort of playing cards.
I like the way the houses look.
I don't.
I just don't like the wolves.
I don't like the wolves. I don't like the pig. I don't like the houses. I don't like the artwork. And again, that's just me. It's very personal. I get it. Maybe you look at this and you're like, this is adorably charming and it looks silly, and that's what the point. Maybe, but I don't like it. I hope the game's good. And from the little indications of numbers, arrows, the -2 inside that hex, it might be a neat card game of, building up.
Yeah, actually, it sounds fun.
I wish, but it looked different. That's all. We'll see.
All right, just recently, I think one of us reviewed Scout. Was it you?
I have not reviewed Scout.
All right, well,
have none of us reviewed Scout?
Huh. I think I talked about it in one of my 7 quick game review things. I thought one of us was reviewing Scout. Well, anyway.
I'm reviewing Scout.
He's going to review Scout. So Scout's a ladder climbing game in which you're trying to get rid of all the cards from your hand, but there's a few things in it. First of all, your hand every card has 2 numbers, and at the beginning of the game you can flip your hand or not, and you can never change the order of the cards in your hand. And there's a few other rules in it, which we'll save for the review. This is being reprinted by Oink. So it's going to be extremely overpriced and hard to find. No, maybe not. I actually like the look of those cards, though. They look better than...
Yeah, we haven't reviewed Scout yet. I'm on it.
Oh, well, Z's going to review Scout.
I do like the new look.
I actually like the new look better than the original look.
Sure. No, I do, too. And I think this is going to be a nice production of the game. I know the game already. So, while it might be hard to find... It'll be easier to find than the original. It will be easier to find,
yeah. And for a while, I'm going to claim that this is going to be a game a lot of people are talking about because there's already a lot of Oink fans out there who rave about all their games despite the fact that some of them are garbage. This one's not garbage. We already know the game is good.
Right.
And Scout already has its fans. I think this might be a small hit. This might be for a while, very hot little game.
I agree. And I don't think Oink normally reprints other games that I'm aware of.
It is interesting because it's a Japanese game being reprinted by a Japanese publisher.
By a bigger publisher, right. Yeah. Yeah, I like the cover. I like that they went with a little circus tent vibe. I'm interested.
We're getting close to the 5-year anniversary when Rio Grande lied to us and said they were done with Dominion expansions. So, but money! And here comes another one called Dominion Allies. Yes. The font still looks terrible. Yes,
it's very easy to read the designer's name is Donald X. Vaccarino up there. Look at that.
I actually don't hate the art on this one, but
the art is great. The graphic design of that logo and his name's not even legible anymore.
So I don't know. It sounds like they're continuing to complexify the game. That's a word I'm taking. Anyway, it has 400 cards, 31 new card piles, but there's allies who will do favors for you in split piles that you can rotate. That sounds like a lot of work.
Do you need to be careful now that the cards don't get turned upside down in your deck, I wonder?
I don't know. The problem is everyone likes Donald X. Vaccarino's blurbs or on the back of boxes. I personally don't. He always writes this funny, hilarious stuff, and I'm trying to read, I just want to know about the expansion. And you're making jokes here the whole time, and I'm having a hard time figuring it out. The rivers run with... I'm not going to read it. You can go read it yourself. It's just... I don't know. We'll learn more about it as it comes out, and I'm going to get it and play it and review it because I'm a sucker.
I do think it's weird that his blurbs, the designer's blurbs, are funny. They're very tongue-in-cheek and silly. They're overtly comedy. And the game
That's true. There's no comedy in the game at all.
Isn't really funny. Like, nothing's humorous. None of the characters are designed to be funny. It's a weird mismatch with the way the game is pitched and the way the game plays.
That's true.
That's been true since the very first one. How many expansions is this now?
14? That's pretty high. In good news, Belgian publisher Game Brewer is going to be reprinting the Palaces of Carrara. This came out. This was a hard game to find.
It's really hard to find, yeah. This is a Kramer and Kiesling game that came and went, and even soon after it was published, the prices sort of skyrocketed.
Yeah, I think so. They're showing a Z-Man game cover here. I don't think I've ever even saw this. The copy I had was in German. It was one of the few games I got in German. You didn't need anything other than English rules, I think, to play the game.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I liked it. It was fun. Of course, it's Kramer Kiesling. I like 90% of their stuff.
Yep.
So this one's going to be good. I hope, and it's coming out with a whole bunch of other stuff that they've announced. And a lot of their stuff's going to be kickstarted. Game Brewer has been doing that lately. Haba has an advent calendar, my first advent calendar. And it looks like it's just meeples and stuff, but if you could use that stuff for Animal Upon Animal, that'd be pretty cool.
I think that's the thing.
I don't know.
Maybe that's not the thing.
I'm going to get it. I keep saying every year I'm going to get advent calendars for the kids. And then I can find like 2, and I'm like, well, what about the other kids? You know, I have a lot of kids, but I have fewer kids now. So
you're going to give each of them an advent calendar?
Yeah,
that's
it'd be
different, right?
Yeah, I want to get different ones. The problem is I always find like 3, and then I'm like, oh, now what do I find?
That's interesting.
I'll get my wife a chocolate one. I know there's a chocolate one. And, okay, we're getting off topic here. This looks cool. Send me ideas for advent calendars, folks.
Share those with me. I'm curious.
Azul. This is the 4th Azul. Were you with you saw this at Gen Con, right?
I did. I saw it.
So they showed it. So this is hexes instead of squares. And the way they're explaining it is, real briefly, you're going to be placing these hexes down on the board. You have to kind of build your board.
Yeah, you build the bottom, sort of the green pasture-looking areas there. You're building those also. Not building them, drafting tiles.
And they have some of the tiles printed on them.
Right, and then you put the plastic Bakelite tiles on top of that. So it's like a 2-tiered thing.
And you're trying to make groups of colors and shapes.
And symbols, yeah.
Different, is it different symbols? It's the same color, but different symbols, or the same symbol, but different colors.
Right.
Very similar to, you mentioned...
it's like Quirkle.
Quirkle. Right. Although it looks more complex than that.
Yeah.
Scoring seems very similar to the 3rd Azul, which was Summer Pavilion.
Okay.
Because some of these colors are more valuable than others, and some of the symbols, and in fact, you can tell which symbols are more valuable than others because they'll have like 6 pips on them, or three parts of the symbol, or the bird has 2 wings.
Yeah.
He was telling me that. It looks interesting. I really like the color palette. I like that it feels different than the other ones. It's like it looks like spring.
You like all the sort of pastel-y earth tones?
I don't want it in every game. I mean, I still like the look of the second one because I love that stained glass look, right? But this at least differentiates it, but it's also hexes. My only concern is that even after seeing it in person, I think placing those hexes is a little fiddly.
Okay.
Like you put it down and they might all move a bit. I mean, that happens with the squares, but I don't think as much.
Well, you just have to wait till they release their overlay.
Alrighty. Well, in non-funny news, right before Gen Con, Pandasara suffered a break-in. Somebody came into their warehouse and stole 200 copies of The Loop and 100 copies of Dinosaur World. And this was right before, they were shipping stuff at Gen Con. Now, fortunately, they said this doesn't affect anyone who backed the Kickstarter. They had enough extra copies. And even more fortunately, and I'm always feel, this is not Schadenfreude, I don't know what it is, but like joy that criminals are caught. They found who the people were. They've identified the thieves. Because the thieves put it on an online seller, like on eBay, I think, and then they started selling it, which was impossible since the game was not out.
Right.
Seems kind of dumb, honestly.
I don't think they knew that.
Yeah. Suckers! So that's a good ending, but it's still paperwork, loss of money, even if you recover all the product, which you probably won't.
Yeah, it's still a problem, but it could have been worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. When I've never heard of board games being targeted for theft. Someone will steal a car. They'll hit a jewelry store.
Not targeted. I mean, and we're taking Magic out of the equation because Magic definitely
Magic,
is.
sure. Magic is a lot of the return for a very small, item. Something that takes up very little room is incredible. But board games, how do you steal 300 copies of these games? That's a lot of room.
I think they broke into the warehouse and just grabbed it and hope it was valuable. That's what I'm guessing.
Put it on a train? That's like a pallet.
Well, someone once hijacked a whole pallet of Red Dragon Inn. You don't remember? That was like 5 years ago or so.
Oh, no. Wow. Okay. Well, we're glad that this all had a fairly happy ending.
So in bad news, still, and weird news, Keyforge. So here you see the new Keyforge set someday. This is not coming out, this set, because apparently there, and this is from FFG, the algorithm is broken. The deck building algorithm, so if you don't know anything about Keyforge, every deck is unique.
Right.
Every deck in the world ever existed is going to be unique. And it builds a deck, and every deck has a unique picture on it, a unique name on it. Sometimes the cards themselves are unique. And they said that the deck building algorithm is broken and needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. So
from the ground up.
This is really mind-blowing because I don't pretend to be like a computer expert. I know a lot about math and computers. I'm thinking, how? What happened?
What are you talking about is my thing. The algorithm broke? Like what? Like the joints wore down? This is not a mechanical process.
So there's lots of speculation on the internet. Who knows? I don't know. Some people think that someone sabotaged it or not. I don't know any of that information. There's no proof. And I have asked as high up in FFG and other places to find out. And either people don't know or they ain't telling me. Mm-hmm. There's nothing on the subject. And in fact, we asked Justin Gary, because they're making a similar thing with Richard Garfield, Soulforged, Soulforge? Fusion, which is the same thing. And he said he noted that they had that problem, and they are making sure that that won't happen for them.
Right.
But who knows? It's such a unique. It's a
weird piece of news for sure.
Yeah, because I was expecting, when I saw Keyforge is canceled, I was like, I knew it. It was eventually going to stop being made.
Yeah.
I didn't think this would be the reason.
Right.
And I'm actually kind of surprised that they announced this was the reason. I wonder if I might have kept it to myself.
Just say we're going on hiatus for a little while. Yeah. Don't necessarily reveal that. So anyway, this Winds of Exchange set is done. The cards are done, I believe. They just can't make decks until they rebuild the algorithm, and we don't know when that will be.
One of the biggest booths at Gen Con was Ravensburger. It might have been the biggest booth, actually, for a game company. It was big, and they have all these new games coming out. However, because of this whole supply chain fiasco that's been going on, and this is all board game companies and such, they announced that starting September 17th, which was 6 days ago, they're no longer accepting orders from retailers and distributors. They're done. They're basically going to get everything that people have ordered to them. Then they're going to stop accepting orders until, I guess, 2022. So when things will get back to normal. So that's really interesting. I kind of applaud them for this.
Yeah. They want to make sure that they are not saying, okay, you want this many copies of this, we'll get them to you. And then they're considerably late on that promise. So absolutely, kudos to them. They're saying we cannot promise we'll get it to you, so please don't pre-order it. We will not accept the pre-order. Let's get caught up. We don't want to disappoint people. It's the way to handle this. I think it's a good job on their end. So it does mean you can't get this stuff, unless it's already trickled out of them. But I think it's a good way to do it, and it also ideally relieves a little pressure on the pipeline.
I hope so.
Backing off,
I mean, it's just kind of like when you go to one of those restaurants and they have a certain amount of food each day. Mm-hmm. Like, some donut places do it, mm-hmm. and I've seen some barbecue places do it. They're like, if you don't, and you met fried chicken place did it in Columbus. Remember, they're like 50 pieces of chicken left, 40,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
when
yeah.
you were done, you were done.
That's it. That's what we got. Right.
All right, GAMA, the Game Manufacturers Association. We talked about this in the past. They added 6. They're now 6 different categories, and they had some elections for these, and so they added 5 board directors to the board. There was actually a tie for one of them, but Grace Collins, Monica Rasso, Eric Price, Stefan Prasad, Kylie Primus, and then there's a tie for the last position. So all those people are on the board, but there are now 6 categories, which are creatives, basically game designers, and artists, I guess. Media and events, that's people who run conventions and folks like us. Production manufacturers, that's the people who actually produce the games like Panda or Long Pack. Publishers, obvious. Retailers, obvious. And wholesale, which is the distributors and things like that. And then in more GAMA news, the Origins Awards, well, they announced that they're going to be delayed. But more importantly, in my opinion, they announced their Hall of Fame inductees for this year. So we got Uwe Rosenberg. Okay, no shocker there.
Yeah.
One of the most famous board game designers. Maureen Hyrone, who you may not have heard of her, but she's one of the most most sold designers in history.
One
She's
of the
made a lot of
best-selling designers in history. Yes.
That is also what I was saying. Now, she has made like little card games, but they have sold like hotcakes.
Yes, absolutely.
She's
That
also an
name is
incredibly unique personality, and will gladly talk to you about these.
Yeah. Her name might not be very well known, but this is one of the, if you're considering just, again, monetary success being success, one of the most successful designers out there.
Then Bruno Catala. I don't know,
Yes.
some no-name designer.
Bruno did it! You did it!
They finally did it. The Pokemon trading card game. That makes sense.
Heard of it?
Carcassonne.
Yep.
And then they have a special Rising Star category, and that's Elizabeth Hargrave. So, again, that's a pretty good slate of things. And I assume they're giving these out at Origins, but it may not be happening because of, Origins is going to be a smaller thing this year and COVID restrictions. Who knows?
Yeah. That's a good list.
It is. All right, FunForge and Ubisoft have announced a partnership on Far Cry Beyond. Every major video game at this point seems to be made into a board game. And if you haven't heard of one that's being made into a board game, it's probably going on behind the scenes. I know of at least like 2 or 3 that have not been announced yet, but they're happening behind the scenes. So that's interesting. I don't know a lot about Far Cry. I almost bought it the other day to play. The new one. The
6?
new one.
Is that out?
Yeah, for the PS5. It has that. Who's that actor from?
Actor, I know. Yeah.
From Breaking Bad.
Yeah. No, I do know what you mean.
Giancarlo, I believe his first name is.
That might be right. Yeah.
Giancarlo. I think he's a great actor.
He is a very good actor.
So anyway, who knows what this will be like?
Far Cry is a good series. I like Far Cry quite a bit as a series. I don't know what this is going to be. Far Cry is an open world shooter. But yeah, I mean, I don't usually like the whole put video game on my board game sandwich, but hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong and maybe find one that's fantastic.
Well, if you don't want that, Z, then you can get Llama Land.
I'm into Llama Land. What is this?
This is a Phil Walker Harding game, isn't it? Yes. Because this really looks like the Gingerbread House. Yeah.
Yes, but you know what? Llamas, baby!
I feel like I've seen this in person somewhere. Like I saw this at a store or something. I might be wrong.
I don't think I've seen it anyway. It's the Llama-tastic family game, it says. Just for that right there.
I'm out.
No, no, I'm on a Lookout Games high right now. They've been doing really good things. And I do like Phil Walker Harding games. This looks like a neat stacking game. There's like 99% chance I'll like this game, right?
I
all
agree.
those things sort of check a lot of boxes. There would have to be a major stumble for me not to, out of the gate, like this. I'm into it.
All right, would you like to come out and play? The Warriors has been announced by Funko Games. When they were telling me about this, I said, you better have bottles in this, because that's pretty much the only thing I know about that movie.
Yeah, and people get beat up.
Yeah, anyway, you've been framed for killing the leader of Gramercy riffs, and you're hunted down by everyone on the streets, including the furries, the Lizzies, the hi-hats, and more. Hi-hats, baby.
You gonna be a hi-hat?
I'm going to be a hi-hat. Anyway, is this a co-op game? I can't tell.
I assume
2 to 4 players. Plays 40 minutes. It's going to be $25 retail. That's pretty good.
I assume it's a co-op. You're all part of the same gang trying to get through the city.
You know that every time someone wants to play the game, though, they'll be like, "Hey, Z, come out and play." I'm not playing it just because of that. All right. All right. Glory Islands has been announced by Rio Grande, which takes place in 1660 island of Tortuga, and you're trying to get the most glory. It looks, the description sounds interesting. I'm clarifying that the description sounds interesting because I'm not sold on this cover.
You're not? I like it.
Do you?
I do like it, yeah.
I just don't think it would make me buy the game.
Well, I don't know about that, but
The art is fine.
I like the art, and I do like the whole picture map-ish kind of thing. It doesn't really make sense. I'm not looking at a map. So why are you selling it to me? Am I buying a poster from a pirate port? But I'd be lying if I said I don't like the style. I think it does look good on the wood grain behind and then the sort of paper on there. Now, this designer is a little hit or miss for me. They have a good trick-taking game I like. Trying to remember which one. But...
Well, YZ is looking that up. Rio Grande also announced that they're restocking Beyond the Sun. There's a large one coming to distributors because that game is super popular. So that's cool. This must be a slightly bigger game. It's $45. So I'm assuming, let's see, it has 28 cards, 4 player boards, 45 tokens, 23 pirates, 8 barrels, 8 marker discs, 4 ships, and a draw bag in a pear tree.
Yeah, this designer's sort of hit or miss for me. They did Pagoda.
Okay, I like Pagoda.
This Shoten whatever game with the hot peppers, that's a decent trick-taking game. And then Monasterium is the new hotness from them.
That's right.
That was getting a decent amount of buzz from Eurogamers.
I've not played that one yet.
And then El Gaucho.
Oh, yeah.
Which is all right. That's all right. We'll see. This looks good. I like the theme. I like piratey games. So I'm assuming mid-weight Eurogame is what you're going to get here, folks.
All right. First Rat, which is the rat who's the president of all other ones? I don't know. This is coming from Pegasus Spiel. It's a new strategy board game, and you are building a rocket to launch yourself to the Cheese Moon to get honor and history and rathood. Okay.
First Rat. I'm still just hung up on that name.
Do you like the fact that the picture is part of the name?
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Is it supposed to be First Man?
Maybe it's First IRAT?
No, it's like First Man is the pun, right? But it's a rat, so First Rat.
Yeah, that's one small step for a rat, one giant leap for rodents.
It's terrible, but...
That's a tagline that should be on the box! All right.
Yeah.
When's this coming out? Oh, December. That's pretty close.
Huh. Is this a rolling right? No.
Better not be a roll right because I'm out then.
No, 30 to 75 minutes. There's no way. Okay.
That'd be a long roll right.
We'll see. I'm not psyched about this. I think the artwork's great. I don't care. It's not grabbing me. The Pyre one grabbed me. This one, I'll wait and see, you filthy rat.
All right. The Diana Jones Award, which is excellence in gaming. They give out awards to pretty much anything in the sense that it could be a board game designer, could be a website, could be a RPG, could be anything. This year, they gave it out to... Nibbard Games, or Nibcard Games? Not sure.
Nibbard.
I think it's it says Nibbard in the description, but that word looks like Nibcard.
Nibcard. Yeah,
Nibcard. Anyway, this is from Nigeria. We talked about them recently, where they're running a convention there and stuff, so that's exciting. It's good to see games going around the world.
Absolutely, yeah. Kudos to them, Nibcard. Trying something new in a new part of the world that doesn't normally, the news of these things don't come out of there anyway. So yeah, this is nice to hear this. Congratulations to them.
And then finally, in news that was tweeted to us or texted to us by Mr. Bonacor, who can't be here and who's going to go spasms about this next week. We'll talk more about it next week for sure.
Okay.
Asthma is up for sale. They're actively selling it for $2 billion, which is $800 million more than it sold last time, which was $800 million more than the first time.
Right?
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
That's quite the increase.
It is.
$2 billion. I'll think about it.
This is big news, and yet I don't know how much I care because who cares who owns Asthma? It just means it's going to be more corporate, and FFG will get less exciting, and I don't know.
Probably.
We'll see what happens. I'm assuming initially, when it's sold, nothing happens at first,
happens,
right?
yeah.
You know, you don't even know about it other than it made the news, and then eventually they decide this isn't profitable, cut this. This is profitable, expand this.
Is it Hasbro buying them? When is that happening? I made that prediction a solid 4 or 5 years ago.
That would be really fascinating.
At
But
some point,
Hasbro is not in one of the groups that was talked about that might buy them.
well,
I
then
think.
they're messing up. I'm saying Hasbro eventually will buy Asmodee, and you will get
And then Asmodee will
Monopoly
buy
Carcassonne.
the Dice Tower.
Oh, you want to make that prediction?
No.
Oh, okay.
That would be if I made that prediction, people would be like, I heard Tom say.
Oh, no, that is not happening.
No,
And
I not even got a phone call.
Nor is the Hasbro thing happening. I just think it could happen, and it would not be that surprising anymore.
All right. Someone said, can we get a crowdfunding campaign to buy it? Yes, we can.
Yeah, right.
We're raising money to buy Asmodee back for the people.
$2 billion, yeah.
Biggest Kickstarter project ever. All right. Well, that's it for the news. Huzzah!